Who should be more concerned to be down 0-2, Dallas or Carolina?
That's a tough one. I'm going to go ahead and say Dallas just because I think Carolina still is on paper the better team, like objectively, than the Panthers. Like all they technically should have to do is just play their game and focus up, find a way to win. I think they're the more capable team of digging out of a 2-0 hole. Dallas, I think it's a little harder. It's like Vegas is a really good team, honestly. Like it's not like you're getting dogged and like you totally should have won both games. It's like I don't know. That's kind of the way I see this one.
Kind of, the stats I read about Carolina not being able to score is what sells this one on the Canes for me. Dallas has gone the distance already in this postseason. So the fact to me that they've, had a 7-game series, them being down 0-2 going back home doesn't necessarily scare me as much as the Hurricanes being down 0-2 going back to Florida.
No, that's a good counter argument, honestly, to what I said. That's a
I
good
was going to
argument.
side with Nick, but Mac sold me pretty darn well. So I actually think I'm going to side with Mac on this one. You helped me change my mind. I think Carolina is the better team on paper. I mean, I would imagine Brind'Amour's going to have them on.
That's what I keep coming
Yeah.
back to as well. I'm like, no way they just like get swept or something, right? Like this guy, I don't know. That is a selling point for me.
That's true.
I think Nick has the correct answer, but Mac, you sold me on that. I don't know. Like, yeah, they lost both at home, but I'm like, all right,
I'm
they can
also
still
like willing the Stars to not be, in a hole. I'm like,
manifesting.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, it's a good question. All right. Canadian national team forward Joe Veleno has been given a 5-game international suspension for stepping on Nino Niederreiter's ankle in the IIHF World Championships. Is 5 games enough? Listeners, if you haven't watched this video, I would highly suggest you do. Kind of went viral. Really, really brutal look for Veleno here.
I think this should be double digits minimum.
Yep, agree. One word to describe this guy in that play: loser.
Yeah,
Fucking
L7.
loser move right there, buddy. That's absurd.
It's
Cannot
just
be
it's
cannot be
not it has
happening.
nothing to do with like we talked about the Petrangelo / not being a hockey play.
Yeah, this is
This
like
is
10 times worse.
yes.
It's
Yeah.
so brutal. That's
Honestly,
like
I would
embarrassing.
it would be nice if they just sat him for a year from IIHF competition.
Like literally, I'd be like, "Fuck you, dude!" Like that.
Yeah.
That shit grinds my gears. Seeing shit
Also,
like that, people trying to injure each other. That's so awful.
it like to me it makes it so much worse that you play for Canada because you're going over there to run the table on everyone
Yeah, and
probably
they
anyways.
they supposedly like hold everybody such a high standard and shit. It's like such a like you're representing our team, like don't be a shithead type thing. And yeah, whatever. We don't need to spend much time on this dude.
Harry, your thoughts?
It's pretty darn hard for someone to convince me that suspension should be made longer. It's also really hard for people to convince me something should have been called a penalty. Like I kind of let the rule books out the window. I'm like, it's fine. It's kind of a free for all in my mind. This dude should never be allowed to play in this tournament again. I mean, that was he literally took the steel of his blade and tried like planted it on a dude's Achilles tendon, basically.
Could easily ruin somebody's career for
He could have
that.
ended his career.
Could have removed the dude's foot from his leg.
Up,
like for people that don't understand how sharp professional hockey players keep both blades on their skates, because yes, there are two. Like that could have easily gone through the dude's sock, pad, bone, everything.
Yeah, he's lucky he still has his Achilles tendon not, severed into 2 pieces. But yeah, that was bush league shit. So yeah, definitely agree with you guys there. Like Max said, we can move on from that. This is what I'm really interested to hear an answer for. Who is your current Conn Smythe Trophy favorite? One answer. I don't want
Rupe
2 answers.
Hintz.
I like that. I like that a lot. This is a hard one.
That's a good answer, Nick.
It just I can't pick against the numbers. I know the NHL is such a numbers horny league, but
to me, I think the clear cut like obvious favorite right now is Matt Tkachuk, just because of how important he's been, his attitude the whole time. It feels like he's just been kind of willing that team and making them believe in him and the rest of themselves. And he's top 3, top 4 in points, something like that. last I checked. So I think he's up there. I do think there's an outside chance if Vegas goes the distance, somebody like Mark Stone could get it just for kind of like battling through everything he's battled through and like still being so productive and like
Eichel
being
too,
the captain.
honestly.
Yeah, no, Eichel could. Mm-hmm.
Hard
But yeah,
question.
if you made me bet on it right now, I'd say Matt Kachuk.
Yeah, it's a hard question because when you factor this in, it's like, okay, we've got
Kind of have
two.
to pick a cup winner too. Like,
Yeah, right. So I like Nick going ballsy with the team who's down 2. I like that.
I'll go one with a team that's up 2-0-2. I think there's a big argument for Bob at this point.
yeah, no, you're so right. That's a good point.
A lot of people before this series had Bob as the Florida favorite, and now Kachuk has scored 2 game-winning goals in overtime.
Yeah.
So it's
Right.
like, how do you do this? But
Huge.
I'll throw a name out here. Aiden Hill, guy who's on his he's the 4th goaltender for the team. He's stepped in and he's played really, really well.
The only thing that's
I
going
don't
to
know.
count against him is that he came in and like he missed 2
Yeah.
rounds basically.
And I don't think like I feel like for a goalie to get it, you got to have like a shutout in a game 7, like somewhere along the way or something
That's
like
fair.
that.
You're Cam Ward. You come in and you
Mhm.
steal, like you win the cup for that team.
Like I think there's a world where Braden Holtby gets it in 2018 from his performance, but like it had to obviously be Ovi. But
Should have been Kuzi.
It probably should have been Kuzi. But like, you know what I mean? Like Holtby that year had a couple like elimination shutouts. He had the back-to-back shots. Like you got
The greatest save in NHL history.
Yeah, you gotta really turn some heads. And I think you definitely gotta not miss more than like 3-4 games the whole postseason or something like that. But that's not to say that Hill has been a big story for them, and he's definitely
What's
a major
really
reason
funny
where they're at.
is not one of us said a player from the Hurricane.
It's hard to pick someone for that. Like, who do you pick? Like, they can't score. They alternate their goalies.
Piotr, of course.
I'll go.
I mean,
Eichel.
if you had to pick a Kane, it'd probably have to be Aho or something, right?
Right.
Yeah. I'm gonna go Eichel. I think Eichel will get it.
All right.
We'll see. Probably not.
Official answer there. We got hints from Nick, Eichel from you, Kachuk from me. 3 different guys, 3 different teams.
Love it.
And then from our buddies at Hockey Collective, they had a good question here, so figured we'd ask this. Would you rather win the Stanley Cup or a gold medal for your country at the Olympics? With NHL players attending, of course. Tough.
I think this is a lot tougher than people think.
It is, but for me, I think it's got to be Stanley Cup. I think it just cements your name a little bit more in because think about this. When guys retire and you're talking about like, oh, should this, like when it's a big discussion point, like, should this guy be a Hall of Famer? The first thing they ask is Stanley Cups, right? How many times have you heard about a guy like somebody's like, should this guy be a Hall of Famer? And you're like, no, he doesn't have any cups. And then the follow-up argument is like, yeah, but don't forget he won a gold medal. Like,
true.
Mm-hmm.
I think
it's an afterthought, which is not to take anything away from it. It's still like an incredible accomplishment. It might even be harder in some ways, but
this is a good question for us to answer. I think if you're a Canadian, winning a gold medal, you're almost just expected to do it.
It'll just happen.
It just happens. It happens once every 3 years, pretty much. Yeah. The Stanley Cup is the hardest trophy in professional sports to win.
That's what I was going to say too.
And that's the answer here. But I won't lie. I mean, you guys know I grew up a competitive swimmer. The Olympics to me are, they are here. So it was tough.
Too. Like, let's say if you're not Canadian, it's then maybe it is harder to win a gold medal.
Right. Like if you're from Finland.
Yeah, right. Something like that.
You've got like 1.5 million people in your country.
It might mean more. Yeah.
Cup. But close, but cup.
Yeah, close, but cup is the right answer.
I would argue though, it's definitely harder to win a gold medal. You have to make the team. Think about that.
Yeah, but still, I think it depends where you're from. I think if you're Canadian, it's objectively easier to win a gold medal.
That's probably fair.
You do have to be like,
but think about how hard
Canada could field 3 Olympic hockey teams. You do have to be in that top.
You have to be in that top tier. Yeah.
So that's the one part that plays against is you have to be like insanely good.
Yeah.
But you could argue being good is somewhat in your control, right? You can train, you can do things to try and become the best at your sport. In the NHL, you just have to be on the right team. Like
Ryan Whitney won a silver medal.
It's dumb luck, a lot of it too.
People
in the
forget.
NHL. Like you gotta fucking like just end up on the team that does it all that year. It doesn't even matter. Like we've seen it. You can be the best player in the NHL and it doesn't mean shit if
Or
you're
you
not
could
on the right team.
That's
win
actually
2
a very
Stanley
good
Cups the way
argument.
Phil Kessel did it.
Right.
Hey, he should have won the Conn Smythe in 16. I can say that. You know, you said Kuzi should have won it. I can admit Crosby should not have won the first one. The second one he deserved. This first one should have been Phil.
Did he win it as a rookie? Or like when he was super young when they won it in 09?
Or
who do you referencing?
Did Sid win the Conn Smythe in 09? Who did?
Gino.
That's right.
Yep. Blue Rhino propane.
Hey everyone, Nick here. Just wanted to remind you that as always, the discussion portion of this episode is brought to you by Kane Footwear. Kane Footwear is constantly changing the game by providing a unique shoe focused on recovery while still being made from sustainable materials. The Kane Revive is made with bounce back foam created from Brazilian sugarcane. A renewable resource, sugarcane helps reduce greenhouse gases by capturing CO2 as it grows. Kane's unique bounce back foam provides the ideal balance of cushioning and support to help the body renew. Head to the link in our bio today to grab a pair of the most comfortable shoes you will ever own.